So we're at the top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you and welcome to Wednesday, June 25th, Platform Analytics Academy. Super excited about everybody that's here. I know we still have people that are trickling in, but we'll real quickly get through some logistical information and we will get to the content that we are covering today. So as usual, these sessions are all about you, fresh ideas, better understanding, practical guidance. Definitely some fresh ideas today. So it'll be a super interesting conversation around some thoughts and things around Now Assist that maybe you've never thought about. It is being recorded, so please feel free to sit back and relax. It will be out in the community later on today or tomorrow. And of course, the recording will be on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to have it at your disposal. Please ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. We just ask that you utilize the Q&A. There are other people on outside of the people that are actually presenting that could possibly answer questions. If the questions are related to where we are at in the specific content, we'll try to stop and answer those questions. It is going to be a lot of conversation today, so I would expect some really great questions. Safe Harbor, don't necessarily know that there's anything in it, but we always like to make sure that we mention this so you're aware of it when you ask questions and things of that nature. Of course, don't make decisions, buying decisions or whatnot around the content that you hear today. So just please keep that in mind. My name is Thomas Davis. I'm your host as usual. And today we have Tara on who's going to present some information. Dan and I will be there to support her. And Olga is here as well. And I apologize, Olga, for not getting you up there. I didn't really know who was coming today, but super awesome that you are here to help as well. And today what we're going to talk about is Now Assist and helping you understand the value of Now Assist and some different ways that you could possibly measure Now Assist and how it could work for you. So with that, Tara, if you are ready, you are more than welcome to take over sharing and get rolling.
You got it. Let's do that. All right. Let's see what you can see. Tell me what you can see.
Got your slide. Looks good.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Some of you might already know me, Tara Fisher here. I'm an outbound product manager working alongside Thomas, Dan, and Olga for several years now. But I do have a different focus, which is primarily Now Assist. So I will be talking a little bit about some of the conversations that I'm having with customers regularly now that Now Assist is part of our ecosystem. So in case you don't know and aren't aware, Now Assist is our ServiceNow brand of generative AI. It is something that we sell and are marketing very, very rapidly right now. However, it is not anything new. It is something that we've been working on for several years. And so it feels new to a lot of folks, but it really has been part of our platform for some time with the advent of AI, now Gen AI, and AI agents, agentic AI, if you've heard of that. It's just the natural progression of how our platform works because we are a platform-based company. But what I want to talk about today is the age-old question is, how do I figure out if what I'm doing is actually moving the needle? So we're going to talk about that for a minute. Today, what we're going to talk about is how Now Assist capabilities align to your business outcomes. So one of the things that we've talked about over the years always has been, what are your business goals? As an organization, as part of a department, you have processes that you want to improve, workflows that need to be automated. But in doing that, you're doing it for a reason. You're doing it to improve something or increase something or decrease something. And so there's always a goal in mind, something that an objective that you have. And we call those business goals here at ServiceNow. And so we always want to be focusing on that no matter what you're using, especially now that Now Assist is part of the picture. Agentic AI is coming into the picture. You want to definitely make sure that you understand what your capabilities are and how they align to what your business outcomes and goals are. And we'll be talking about what KPIs are and why that they matter. A lot of what I'm finding now, which is interesting, is that as I'm talking to customers about generative AI and how they're planning to implement it at their company, and they're asking how do I know if I spent my money well and I'm doing it the right way? It's like, well, what KPIs do you have? What KPIs did you start with? What were your business goals and kind of what are you measuring now? And you would be shocked how many folks have performance analytics and aren't using it because they didn't occur to them that that would be the primary way to really measure that. And so that's where, if you have experience with performance analytics, which I'm sure many of you are here because you do, This is a critical component in making sure that you are being successful with anything new that we put into our platform. I'm hoping that this the title of this session also brought folks who haven't used performance analytics, because we really want to talk to you as well. Now is the time to figure out what your data looks like, and start turning on some KPIs. And we'll talk about, I had a customer tell me, it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe, or maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but that's what prompted this session, was I don't have time to figure out what KPIs I need to measure. Just tell me so I can get started. And so that's where this came from, is we're actually going to tell you some of the industry suggested guidelines out there for some KPIs to get you started, so you don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel today. So we'll talk about why we pick these KPIs, why they matter, and how they will help move the needle. We'll obviously talk about building those KPIs on dashboard, use cases, all that great stuff. But why? And that's what I'm saying right now. Customers are spending money and investing in Gen AI, but not understanding how to measure that value. And it is the age-old problem that we have with anything, any new process that we implement, any type, you launch a new program within your company, and you want to track that change. You have to be able to measure it. And so you have to determine, what does success look like for me? And so that's why this is important, and we need to have this conversation. If I'm talking too fast, Thomas, just interrupt me. You know that.
No, you're good.
And then, okay. ServiceNow Now Assist is purpose-built to turn AI insight into action at scale, right? That's our thing that we're out there, and we're talking to everyone about. And we're intentional with that message because it is a natural progression of our platform. Like I said, you purchase this to improve your processes, automate your workflows, and everything that we're bringing to the table now is just the next step in that direction. So it's really not a shiny new toy for us, but we want to make sure that you're using the tools that you have at your fingertips to make sure you understand how to use all this stuff successfully. Move on. So Now Assist in the flow of work. Basically, what we're going to be talking about, how to measure today, is the Now Assist capabilities of generative agent assist, chat summarization and reply generation, virtual agent and search, and then knowledge article summarization. So we'll focus on, if you turn those on, what are some of the analytics that you can use now to determine whether or not they're moving the needle? Yes, I saw a raised hand.
It went back down quick.
Oh, okay. It's funny that you raised it and lowered it so quickly, because it took me so long in my last meeting to figure out how to raise it. Because in Teams, it's just a one click, and in Zoom, it's like, I think it was 2 clicks. And so I was trying to figure that out. So good for you. And then of course, all our AI is powered by our LLM, Control Tower, which is coming to the market, and Performance Analytics, which is really the powerhouse. And the reason why we're talking to this audience today is because, like I said, you've been using it. And even if you haven't been using it, you don't know you have it. We're talking to you. This is what you need to really determine whether or not you're being successful with anything that you turn on at ServiceNow. Performance Analytics is the key. So today we are going to talk about high-level business goals. We've brought, I see a raised hand. Sabrina, did you mean to raise your hand? Oh, more raised hands. Oh, yes, no.
Do you want Sabrina to talk now? You got a lot of,
Yeah,
I don't know what's
fine.
going on. There seems to be a lot of
That's fine.
hands going up and down. Sabrina, you can talk. You there? Did you mean to raise your hand? Maybe not. Just keep going, Tara. It's fine.
Okay. So today we are going to focus on 3 business goals. There's so many business goals out there. So we brainstormed and came up with some of the ones that are pretty wide across the industry. I want to make sure that we give you some ideas and suggestions around specific business goals, so we could really dissect and discuss them. So today we will be focusing on increasing customer satisfaction as a business goal, improving self-service processes, and increasing knowledge article consumption. Now, these are all things obviously in the ITSM, CSM space. If you have, you want to have conversations outside that space, you're happy. I'm happy to have you message me directly, and we can have a conversation about what some of those KPIs might look like. I really wanted to focus on these because these focus on our Now Assist capabilities. Like I discussed earlier, all of these capabilities on the screen in front of you are what contribute to improving or increasing these business goals. I apologize for that. Just a second. I don't know if you heard my dogs going crazy, so I'm sorry. And then obviously, for increasing customer satisfaction, our primary outcome would be, right, having a faster and more consistent resolution, which we hope agent assist and summarization, resolution summarization, chat summarization, incident summarization would actually contribute to that. Obviously, higher deflection and containment with improving self-service processes, right? With the Now Assist virtual agent and search, you have the capability now to deflect where instead of having someone create a catalog article or create a ticket or a request item, you can actually, with our LLMs, find that information relatively quicker and have an actual conversation with a bot that is meaningful and gets you the information that you need without actually having to go that next step. And so that's where that goal is focused on, leveraging those Now Assist capabilities. And then, of course, our search, Gen AI search and article summarization for knowledge, also knowledge creation. We're hoping to improve article engagement and reuse with that. And for a little note, in the future, we do have a product coming out called Knowledge Center, which will allow you to manage everything that you have in the AI space for knowledge in one location. And that will also include helping clean your knowledge base. So an opportunity to determine if you have duplicate knowledge articles or opportunities for merging or even end of using knowledge articles, right? If any of you are big in the KCS space, this is a critical component on staying on top of your knowledge, making sure it's clean and always up to date and current. And so we're hoping with these Now Assist skills, we'll be able to move the needle in there as well. Any questions before I move on? So now we're going to get into
Dan's answering one, but we can do
We
this
should,
one out loud
yeah,
because
we should do that one out
probably,
loud too. I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
go for it, Dan.
Well, what license do we need to use Now Assist, and as I do not have it enabled on my company's instance?
Okay, so Now Assist is a separate SKU. You would have to talk to a salesperson to specifically understand what license your company would want. So we have um, the ones that I rolled out was incident summarization, chat summarization, resolution summarization, Now Assist for virtual agent, and Now Assist knowledge creation. Those are all different licenses, and I don't know specifically how the SKU breakdown is. So you would have to talk to a salesperson about that specifically. But these are the licenses that we're talking about today. So they are separate licenses that have to be acquired before you can leverage it.
The other question is, please share what is LLM. So let's see,
Oh,
large language model. But since you are our AI expert here, why don't you follow up on that? What
okay.
that
So large language model is what we here at ServiceNow use to, when you're working with AI, generative AI, all that stuff, you have to have a universe of data out there that understands your workflows and processes. So at ServiceNow, we have, I believe, three that we have: a small model, a large model, or two, a small model, a large model that we have trained with our specific data, our specific workflows. So ITSM, CSM, ITOM, GRC, all the products that we offer, our LLMs understand the workflows and processes that are pertinent to that. So it knows, it's also our large language models take our knowledge article information and it digests all this stuff to have those natural conversations. It's kind of how it's like the brain, right? It knows it's constantly learning and it's constantly evolving as we're interacting with it. That's kind of how all generative AI works. And so there's tons of different models actually out there. So ServiceNow has our own models that are ServiceNow trained models. And then we actually work with third-party OEM models that we're introducing or just introduced. Apologize, I believe it was in May. That could be more specific to your business use cases and might have more specific information for your company. And then we do allow bring your own LLM, bring your own large language model. So a lot of companies out there are also investing in building their own. That's very specific. A lot of federal government employees have to have specific language models that they work with because of the security and content that they work back and forth with banks too, right? Everybody has kind of their own niche case for what model they choose. But the power of the LLM is really the how we're getting to where we're getting with all the stuff that we're bringing on with AI.
Yeah, and I like that answer. It's in a real, in probably an overly simplistic way, I would describe it. I think you kind of said it is, what's the data set that's being used to pull answers, to pull responses from your AI? It's very simplistic, but it's because there's a lot to do with, as Tara said, the model or the definitions being used to search that data and all of that. But it's yeah, so that's a great question because it's something that I think we're all going to have to learn a lot more about in the next couple of years, aren't we?
100%. And I'm still
Um,
learning.
oh yeah. Is there another question there was, is there a ServiceNow doc related to the knowledge center that you were just referring to? Was it knowledge center or what was the
Yeah,
center that you were
Knowledge
describing?
Center.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if there's a doc out there yet because it's still in
Not part of
development.
yeah, it's not
Yeah,
part of the platform yet.
it should be released in September of this year. That's the last information I got. It may fall to December because it's still in development, but I will find out. Thomas, can you remind me? I'm pretty
Yep.
sure I have something that I can share that's customer facing. Just like get you information on what's coming. We're excited about it. So that's why I kind of brought it up because if you have Now Assist for Knowledge, then that's super exciting.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we attach it to the community event. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
And one more I think we should go ahead and throw out here
Sure.
too, but is this performance analytics on the Now Assist, is it a separate plugin or does it come with any Now Assist plugins? And that's part
So
of Now Assist, but yeah, go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
so performance analytics exact is actually a platform feature. It is part of our pro SKUs, and Marta, correct me if I'm wrong. It is part of our pro SKUs and then our enterprise SKU offerings. You don't have to have Now Assist to leverage performance analytics, but you do have to have performance analytics to measure the success of Now Assist. Now, I will be showing you, I will be demoing for you later. If you have purchased any Now Assist SKUs, we do provide out of the box analytics that help you understand your usage and consumption of those specific skills. They are complementary analytics that we provide to you. They don't get into this level of detail. And that's why we're having this discussion today, because they're definitely helpful and complementary to what you'll be needing to understand and know as you get into the Now Assist world. But this is how you move the needle. This conversation today that we're having is how you figure out whether or not you're actually getting true value from Now Assist. So they work together. And you don't have to have performance analytics to see those specific metrics, but you do have to have it to do what we're talking about today. And Marta, Olga, like I said, if I'm off on anything, you guys let me know.
All right, you're good. We can move
Okay.
forward. There's a couple other
Okay.
questions, but we'll probably get to them.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So first we're going to talk about leading and lagging indicators. And Dan, I hope you jump in here. This was explained to me several years ago in what we can basically leading is what can we impact now um, and change, and lagging means what did we learn from and can we change? So, examples are my average response time, right? That's a leading indicator. That's something I can change now, right? Our containment rate. Those are things that I can impact right now by looking at that metric. On our lagging, the CSAT score, that's going to tell me how we performed, what we did, what's already been done, not what we're doing, but what's been done. And then we can learn from that and we can fix that. So there's different ways of thinking and measuring your data, and both of them together is how we're successful, right?
That
And so go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, and I was just going to say, and the last one is always right, our return on investment metrics, and that always deals with cost. We aren't going to get into a whole bunch of examples on that because you do have to have access to a cost table in order to pull up those analytics, but it's definitely something to be keeping in the back of your mind if you're looking at things from a financial perspective. There is a cost table in the platform. I believe it's an ITSM. So that is something to think about in the back of your head if you want to tie a monetary value to some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. That is just a type of metric I want to make sure that we call out. Go ahead, Dan.
No, no, that's good. That makes perfect sense. I think you said it really well.
Moving on, Thomas.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So today we're talking about those three goals I told you. So this is the first one that I want to break down. And we actually are breaking down, these are, I'm going to say this again for the record, these are suggested metrics based on the industry standards that are out there today. Some of the stuff that we do have on some of our out-of-the-box dashboards, these are things that constantly come up in conversations with customers, and these are suggested business goals. And then these are the measurements that you would have to support those business goals. So for example, this is an example of leading indicators. Dan, I do believe you have a comment on the number of KPIs I have on this.
Yes, yes, yeah, and I do. This is, yeah, what we are presenting is probably a larger number of KPIs than you would want to expose on an individual dashboard or for an individual set, for an individual goal. Normally, you'd want to limit it down to a very small, 3 or 4 KPIs that you're pointing towards to reach your goal. However, what we're doing here is presenting a, several different options, and that we have found that between ServiceNow and some of our customers have found that work really well to help demonstrate these particular goals. You can pick, and the idea is that some of these may be really relevant to your organization, some of them may not. You may say, hey, this is great, but I need to tweak it slightly. The idea is to really provide you examples that you can use to get started. It's not intended as a just copy all of these down and do exactly this. Although
Exactly.
that might be a good starting point, but it's only a starting point.
Right, right. When we talk about core dashboard design, we always want to have our business goal as our primary KPI. So on this dashboard, our primary KPI would be what is our customer satisfaction rate, right? What's our score? We apply a target to that. And then these would be all the supporting analytics that help us move the needle for customer satisfaction. But we would only want to pick the ones, like Dan said, that are relevant to you and your business. So let's dissect and talk about each of these. I won't get into too much detail. I don't even know what time we're at yet. Okay. So first, contact resolution rate. Obviously, that means how many of incidents or tasks, request item, anything that you have that's in this space. How often, what percentage are we closing immediately? So on that first call, can I solve your problem immediately? And this is specifically tied to Now Assist Virtual Agent. Chat summarization. This is having that ability to immediately determine what the issue is, how to solve it, and close it without having it be open and having to go back and forth with the customer. And so that is a critical component in understanding whether or not you're getting value from Now Assist. We do have a target, right, of trying to be greater than 80%. That is a very high target. This is an industry suggested target, but it is something to leveraging performance analytics. You can apply targets to your KPIs, and so it definitely suggests setting a target that makes sense for you and your business. Maybe you don't generally have things that are able to be closed that quickly, but it is something that does improve customer satisfaction. I think then again, average response time, resolution time, obvious KPIs based off of incident summarization, resolution summarization, the value that you get from getting that information surfaced up for you so that you don't have to take the time to read the entire incident. With incident summarization and resolution summarization is you can actually generate a valuable resolution. Sorry, valuable resolution and close the ticket if you accept what Gen AI's proposed and close your ticket without having incident closed. Help solve customers' problem. That's not valuable. That doesn't allow me to create a knowledge article off of that. It doesn't give me a synopsis of what the problem was so that if I'm searching similar incidents, request items, to figure out if this problem's occurred before. I need valuable resolutions. And so the ability to onboard these Now Assist skills will definitely impact your response and resolution time. Same thing with SLA compliance rate. All those same skills will determine whether or not you're meeting or missing your SLAs. So those are always powerful ones. I do have knowledge-based usage rate on this, and I do have that there, even though it is also going to be on the knowledge stuff that we're going to talk about later. It always improves customer satisfaction if customers have access to quality articles. Your end users have access to quality articles that give them the information and they can access it directly without having to intervene with an actual individual. And then agent productivity, if they're able to get through, I mean, this sounds terrible, but if they're actually able to get through more incidents and more cases in a quicker time frame because of the usage of our Now Assist skills, then obviously that would be an improvement and improve customer satisfaction. So tickets aren't sitting out there for days, right? Okay, now we're going to talk on the flip side of increasing customer satisfaction is what are those lagging indicators? What are the things that have already happened? It has customer satisfaction score on this one. That's because it's already happened, but now we know what we need to do to improve it based off of all the leading and lagging indicators that we have here. These are things that you can do to move that needle, right? So customer effort score, the average score of effort required to resolve the issue. These are all things that we want, our percent of ticket reopen rate. That's a huge one. And that's something that you can impact in the front end, but you definitely can look at what's happening. Why is this happening? Is there something that I need to tweak in my prompts, leveraging my skills? Do I need to create a custom skill? These are all things to determine whether or not Now Assist is helping you move that needle. All right, our second goal. Sorry, I just need to. For some reason my throat is super dry. Our second goal here is improving self-service. So, right, this is the entire bread and butter of why you purchase ServiceNow is to improve your workflows, automate your workflows, make sure your processes are improving, and a lot of that falls into self-service, right? So we're going to talk about our virtual agent containment rate. How often are we keeping those conversations in Now Assist Virtual Agent? Is the LLM I'm using, this is a good way to determine whether or not the LLM you chose when you set up your skill is the right LLM for you. So we talked about that earlier, large language model. Am I using the right one? Because my customers are still creating tickets or incidents. Like this is something you really want to be measuring to determine whether or not you're getting that value from Now Assist Virtual Agent. And this is a great one to figure out if you set it up accurately as well. Knowledge article helpfulness, right? Determining whether or not your thumbs up, your ratings, all that good stuff is doing what we need it to do because we're using generative AI to create the knowledge articles now. And so what happens is you have a resolution summarization pop up and it says, yes, this is how we think you should close this ticket. There's all the context of the incident or ticket or whatever it is going on. Do you want to go ahead and close this using this summarization? You say yes, and then you get an opportunity to generate a knowledge article off of that. And so we want to make sure that that's a valuable knowledge article, that you're getting what you paid for. And so this is a great way to measure that, as well as, go ahead.
Can I say I step one step in because I just want to just make the point,
Absolutely.
just the point here because I think this is a great example of you put it under the leading indicators. And I think this is a great example of a leading indicator. When I look at this on itself, it says, well, how does that show me that I'm getting better at self-service? And it doesn't, that would be if it was a lagging indicator, that would say, hey, you're getting better. This is as a leading indicator, this is saying, what are the sort of things I can measure that I can get better at in order to further down in the process improve my overall self-service? So it's kind of like, we use the example oftentimes of like going on a diet. It's like the intake of food or the amount of walking you do every day does not tell you directly whether or not you're going to lose weight, but it is a major input into how we do that. So the idea is like, what are the factors that will help us improve our self-service? One of those factors is making sure that our knowledge articles are helpful. That's kind of the idea. So I just for those who are less clear or less clear on the concept of leading versus lagging indicators, I just think that's a really good example of it.
That's a
So
great
that's all.
example.
That's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
Great example. So anyways, so these are some examples, like I said, of how to improve your self-service in the leading space. Let's move on to lagging. Sorry. So our lagging indicators, we have first contact resolution, but this is via self-service. So this is specifically looking at our Now Assist virtual agent conversations. Are they doing what Now Assist virtual agent is supposed to do, which is have an actual conversation with the end user that's engaging. It's having a natural language conversation and should be resolving, giving the customer the answering their question, giving them a link to a link if that's what they needed. In the event that they actually had to create an actual, like request an actual item, let's say your catalog isn't fully automated, then they would create that item on their behalf. They would know who they were, what they were entitled to, all this great stuff. And so we want to make sure and see how that's actually doing, because there's always opportunities for improvement there. So you want to be looking at that. And then again, we go back to reopen request, deflection rate. Deflection is that one of those pie in the sky, nobody can ever agree on what deflection rate means, but you don't have to agree on it with the industry out there. You can decide what it means at your company. There are tables in the platform that allow you to determine the flow that you want to establish that would determine whether or not you think it's an actual deflection. So in the deflection world, right, you want to think about intention. A customer logs into an environment intending to do something. What are they intending to do? In our world, it's open a ticket, whether it's with ITSM, CSM, risk, whatever the scenario is, that's usually their intention. And whether or not we can stop them from doing that is a deflection. And so that's all based on what you've got going on out there. And it could be a myriad of things, right? From your search to your quality knowledge articles, to your LLM that you're leveraging for your virtual agent. So that sort of stuff. This is a great way to measure that, but you also have to be clear on what that definition is. And then again, we talked about knowledge article consumption. How often are knowledge articles actually being consumed? Are they valuable? Are they skipping your knowledge articles? That's a big thing to see is, did a knowledge article pop up as a suggestion and was it not looked at? That talks about your quality of your knowledge articles, which is a whole nother, off into the KCS world, which we won't go into now, but that is something to be thinking about because you want to make sure that you're moving the needle. And this is going to help you determine how to fix that so you can move that needle.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a fantastic example. Yeah.
All right. And then our last
And
one that
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Tara. I'm answering this, but I think it probably is a good idea to the
Yes.
idea
Yeah.
that what you're seeing are ideas. These are not formulas that are created within ServiceNow as a whole. The indicators themselves that make up the formulas, they're all there. But again, these are just ideas of ways for you to think about creating KPIs to measure these specific things that Tara is talking about. So I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that.
Yeah, so basically, your data is your data. Our data is our data. However your data is structured, whatever you've named your fields, if you've done customizations, however that is, you have to figure out what matches if you wanted to leverage these formulas. So these are formulas based off of fields that are available within the platform. However, it may look different in your world. So definitely be aware of that. If you are not specifically familiar with your data and how it's structured, find someone who is and sit down and have a conversation with them. Is this something that it's possible? Do I have to create a field? Is there, a metric definition that needs to be created in order for me to get to this next level of data? There's obviously lots of stuff in the, data analytics space, and we could talk about for hours on how to get access to data, how it should be structured, how to measure things specifically. But basically, you have to have an understanding of how your data is structured, what your fields are called in order to get to some of this stuff. But this is definitely doable. You just have to understand again, how your data is structured and what your fields are and stuff.
Yeah, and that's even the same thing for the follow-up question from Alan that says, will there be guidance on how to build these indicators or formulas? So again, I think it you have to understand that it comes down to your instance, to your company's instance, whether or not even some of the indicators that Tara's referencing here in these formulas, if they're the same, if the fields are the same. So again, high level, these are some ways that you can generate some KPIs. You'll have all of this information within the actual academy itself for you to, see if they match up. Maybe they match up directly. They probably don't, but you never know. But all of this will be there. So again, this is high level ideas of different ways that you can measure KPIs to see whether or not you're
Right.
getting value out of an Now Assist.
And just to follow up with that too, everything we're talking about here is within, for building it is within the really this just the standard formula creation
Yep.
formula indicator creation process. As we said, all of the components that make up the formulas, all of the indicators that are part of the formula, you mentioned, Thomas, those are all out of the box. It's just the formula itself is not in most of these cases. You would have to create those, but they're all, but the for all kind of straightforward formula indicator creation.
Yep. Go ahead, Tara.
Yeah, I was just gonna say something and then I actually lost my train of thought on that whole thing.
Happens.
So I apologize. I'll just go on and if it comes back to me, it comes back to me. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I was just thinking about like your field names might be called something different, but the data in there should be clear enough for you to understand, oh, is that where I'm capturing that? Am I capturing that field, somewhere? That sort of thing. Because it just depends on, what you turned on and what you've used. Oh, that's what I was going to say too. We are talking, I had so many conversations with customers specifically about measuring Now Assist that I wanted to do this spin on Now Assist. But all of these metrics that I'm telling you are baseline goal metrics. This is specifically on whether or not Now Assist these are some ones that specifically on some of the features that we rolled out with Now Assist skills. However, if you just want to learn about improving your knowledge base quality or improving customer satisfaction, increasing self-service, all these KPIs will do that regardless of whether or not you're using Now Assist. I just wanted to make that clear. It is in the context of Now Assist because I did specific ones related to those features that we rolled out, but they are all relevant to these goals, regardless of whether or not we're using it. I just wanted to repeat that. Okay, leading indicators for improving knowledge base quality. This is, a big one in determining whether or not in the Now Assist world, we're doing what we said we were going to do, right? Which is helping you create quality knowledge articles. And then in the future, are we helping you keep your knowledge base clean? So knowledge article feedback score, positive feedback percentage. These are all just normal knowledge related analytics that you want to be thinking about when you think about the health of your knowledge base. But specifically in this case, we're talking about whether or not the Now Assist skill is doing what it's supposed to do. And then again, going back into that lagging concept again, article utilization rate. So I have a bunch of articles out there, but how often are they actually being utilized? And then that will help you determine whether or not you have good quality ones out there. If you need to start, I don't know, if anybody's using KCS, you have an actual person with a role that does auditing, that sort of thing. So there's a bunch of different components that come into play when you talk about knowledge-based quality, but it is a big part of the generative AI world. We generally we reference when we're working with our large language model, we always want to be referencing a knowledge base as well, because that's where you have a lot of your content, a lot of the knowledge of previous stuff that's been fixed, where to go for this or where to go for that. And so in order for that to be a success in combination with your large language model, you want to make sure you have a quality knowledge base. So as you're thinking about going into the generative AI world, if you haven't done it yet, that is going to be a big thing for you to be thinking about is how good is my knowledge base? Now is the time to start looking at it. You can use these without having Now Assist skills just to figure out if you're ready for it. And so these are some good metrics to be thinking about. And I did promise, yes, I did promise a demo. So let me take you over to the demo world. So what I've done here, I'm going to move this little window out of my way. Okay, so what I've done here is I am in an instance and I've gone here to workspaces. Oh, no, sorry. Admin, Now Assist admin. So if you've purchased any Now Assist skills, it's going to take you to this little world of your Now Assist. But we're here today to focus on what analytics are provided for you. So I'm going to jump right to the analytics tab and talk about some of the things that are provided that are complementary. And that means that they're in support of the ones that we've just covered today. These will also help you kind of determine what actions have I used, usage and adoption we're talking about here. There are some things that are focused on self-service. Just as primarily like what are the number of queries I've had? Obviously, of those number of queries, how many total query responses did I get? What's the breakdown of those? Are they resolved, unresolved? Just kind of some simple generic things to kind of help you determine whether or not Now Assist is being used the way you intended it to be used. Are people skipping it? That sort of thing. That's what these were kind of launched to give you that see whether or not you're getting what you hope to get as far as usage goes. We do have some stuff in here. I'll just kind of quickly go through these. Want to make sure we can answer questions. But we do have details on any specific skills that you've turned on. So we do provide a little bit of insight into that as well. But these are basically looking at kind of how are your skills being used, not whether or not skills are contributing to moving the needle on your business goals. And that's why we had that conversation today, is because we want to make sure you're thinking about your business goals and not just how much money you spent turning on Now Assist, but you turned it on and spent the money for a reason, and that's to improve something or decrease something. Something is important enough at your company that you needed to make that investment. And we want to make sure that you're thinking about that investment in the context of your goals and not just that I made this investment and what's it doing, because you aren't going to get that from this kind of data, but you are going to see if people are using it. You will see if people are using it if they're skipping something. And that's really like, you made the investment, use it. And tell me if you're not using it, tell me why. And let's get to the bottom of it. And so this is what these complementary analytics will provide you. If you don't have performance analytics, you don't need that to see these. You would need it to dissect them if you wanted to get in, make a copy of it, and then poke around with it a little bit and see if you can make it do a little bit more something else you wanted, a little bit more relevant to you. You would need to have a performance analytics license to do that. Any questions?
Yeah, we got a few. Dan, you want to start?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And so one of the questions here is, what is the best way to determine which knowledge articles are being used by Now Assist? So similar to how we can see views by users. So what I'm wondering is, are we actually tracking what the sources are for our Now Assist responses?
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
think,
think so either.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
what we're trying to say here is, with performance analytics. So I don't know how many people actually have it, but so I'm going to talk about this for just a second. So I'm being very clear. With performance analytics, you have the capability to do a historic data collection. That means you can go back and see how you were doing before you turned on Now Assist, and then how you're doing after you turned on Now Assist. And maybe I should have said that at the very beginning. That's what you want to be doing, is you want to look at what your line in the sand was, your mark in time was, and if you're seeing the needle move, if it's going up and you want it to go up, if it's going down and you want the target's supposed to be going down. Those are the things you want to be looking at. And then you look at Now Assist as a contributing factor as to how the needle's moving. And then you go in and you make your adjustments based on that. You probably could pull up specific reports, not performance analytics, specific reports to see if, what kind of how your knowledge articles were generated. But I do believe if Now Assist generates it, it still has to be pushed into production it has to be accepted and pushed into production by a user. So you may want to look at, assigning specific users to do that push so that you can see who's doing what. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I will go back and find out there though if there's a stamp in that field because
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure,
yeah.
but I will
I
check.
don't recall, but you probably know more about it than I do.
I'll check. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, just in general, to me, that's also kind of I can see where it could be a leading indicator of the quality of the knowledge and things that possibly, potentially, and how it's being, or even the quality of the assist. But honestly, I would say some of the metrics that Tara already shared about knowledge quality might do just as well, if not better, in trying to identify, the usefulness of your knowledge base. But that's an interesting question though. So
Well, I mean, it makes sense, especially now because we're talking about Now Assist is can I
right.
see
Oh yeah.
who did what? But because we still have the human in the loop, I don't know if that stamp actually gets captured, but I will investigate
Yeah.
that so that you have a firm answer.
Thanks, Tara.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then the other question that came in was I've tried to use Now Assist on PDI, but it always referred me to the store to purchase a license for the skills. Can we have it enabled on a PDI? I think officially it's not supported on a PDI because of
Correct.
licensing and
Hmm.
infrastructure dependencies and things of that nature. But you may or may not be able to figure out ways around that. I've read some stuff about developers using like local LLMs to do some things, but officially from ServiceNow, the answer would be no. But you may be able to find something in the community. So I don't know if Dan, Tara, or Olga has another answer around that.
I do not. You are
I
correct.
don't. Yeah.
I do know. I think if you, I, I do know that there are some customers that are working with sales to get a POV.
Yeah.
But that has to go through sales.
Right.
And there
Yep.
may be some temporary lab environments or whatever that maybe ServiceNow has as part of some trainings that may be able to give you some.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that I would
Yeah,
definitely look into that.
yeah.
Ah,
Our
great.
training is like, yeah,
Yeah, great point by Fitz Stewart just threw on there, which is related to the training. There are some
He
learning
just said
classes
it.
that give you Now Assist lab instances for up to 2 weeks. So
There you
there
go.
you
Yeah.
go. Thanks, Fitz. I appreciate it.
awesome. I was just thinking about the labs we did at Knowledge, and you had access to everything on
Mhm.
those. So I was like, yeah, I think if those labs are available, for sure.
So one of the things I was going to say, I'm sure there's some of the attendees out there that have some of their own ideas about some metrics as well. So that certainly, if you have some ideas about metrics, that wouldn't, we certainly wouldn't hurt to share in the community once this is posted in the community. I think that'd be a great place to share some of those ideas. Uh, I did get one more. It's not directly related. It's only kind of indirectly related, and I don't know that anyone here has the answer to it. But is when will Now Assist be connected to type ahead search in reference fields? And
Say
I
more. What does that
that's
mean?
all it is. Well, like
Type ahead search.
when I'm doing a type ahead search, in our what they're looking for is and we might bring Drew off mute to just follow up with that
Yeah.
potentially, but I think it's when I'm doing any kind of type ahead search in the of cases of incidents or anything of that sort, when will Now Assist be top? Let's see, can anyone bring him or her, I should say, off mute to
Let me see if
see
I can get him.
if because Drew, where are you? There you are. There you go. You should now be allowed to talk, Drew. You can take yourself off mute if you want to
Hey, can
clarify
you
what
hear
you're
me?
asking for.
Yep,
Yep.
Yeah.
gotcha.
Hey, so yeah, in the type ahead search, we have a very big use case for it, and I can see it being used elsewhere as well. So say we have thousands or even millions of accounts, and there's all kinds of misspellings that the help desk agent would be typing wrong
Mm,
and not getting type ahead results, or
Oh,
abbreviations or variations of how addresses are spelled and whether drive or DR is used, all that kind of stuff. I could see this as a huge win to do
Okay.
now
I
a search
don't
there.
I don't have any direct knowledge right now of that actually being on the roadmap, but I will check for you. We just got visibility into some new stuff coming up in Q4 of this year. So let me see if it's on that list. I full disclosure, I haven't looked at it yet. I just got it this morning. So I will look at it and I will get the information back to Thomas as to whether or not it's even on our roadmap, and I'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another one here that just came up from Candy is, I think it's a great discussion question. Say, is this to be used in conjunction with the success dashboard? Some of the indicators look similar,
Yeah.
like they might overlap, and I'm sure they do.
They 100% probably do overlap. I was just trying
Mhm.
to, like I said, I had a
Yeah.
customer who was frustrated and was like, just tell me what KPIs. Because I was like, well, you need to
Mhm.
go back and think about your high level business. You know, I had the whole conversation with them and they were like, just tell me. I don't want to
Yeah.
do that. And so I thought, well, why don't I just tell everybody? These are the, top three that, we kind of, brainstormed on and came up with. Absolutely, they are on some of the dashboards that we provide out of the box already. That's fabulous that you know about them. You can just take and take them and use them if you've already got them.
Absolutely, yeah. Because
Absolutely.
the success dashboards have a slightly different purpose for what their use cases are, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't steal some of the components from other dashboards and use them to generate, to help you understand the value of your AI investment. I think that's a great example of it.
Right.
Okay. I think we have gotten all of them answered at this point. So, Tara, thank you so much. Really great conversation, well needed, and this will be a great reference for all of the customers once we get it out on the community for ideas and things of that nature to measure Now Assist, because I know that that's super important. So, thank you for that, and also Dan, thank you for the information that you shared as well. So, I'll just go ahead and close this out. If another question comes in, we'll answer that. But quickly. Data snapshots, another really big one. And if you're not familiar with what data snapshots is, that is basically multi-level breakdowns. We've been talking about that for years. So here's a video that talks about how to do that and how to make that happen and things of that nature. So definitely check that out. It's a quick, like 4 or 5 minute video. So check that out. Obviously, make sure you continue to check out the community page and the academy page. We will not have a session in 2 weeks. So July 9th is canceled. Sorry about that, but kind of had some things that are going on, so we'll skip that one. But after that, on July 23rd, we're going to have a session that talks about the CIO dashboard and how it's changed, and of course things that are possibly coming with Zurich and all of that information. So with that, thank you as usual. Thank you all for joining. Tara, Dan, Tara especially, thank you for putting all that information together and sharing that. And Dan, thank you for the insight that you shared with her. And Olga, thank you for being here. And of course, thank you all the customers. So